Thank you.
Welcome, family, peace and love, to another episode to the show, Candid Conversation. Not popular,
but important.
But important.
Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday.
We appreciate everybody joining us.
Yeah.
You good. We got a great show for y'all today. And we apologize if we're a little tardy today. We had some unforeseen.
Or no, we had a lot going on today.
Yeah.
Different places to be, different things to do.
Right.
Yes.
But anywho.
Yes, we're excited to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're new here, welcome to the family. Buckle up, sit back, enjoy the ride. How you doing today, beautiful?
I'm doing good. This weather kind of caught me off guard today.
Oh, it was cold today.
I got up this morning, I went to the gym, and it wasn't raining, but by the time I made it to the parking lot, there was a little drizzle coming in, and then by the time I came out, it was a whole different situation. Yeah. Cold and rainy. So, still getting it in, still getting done what needed to get done. What about you?
All right. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, you feel good? I think you're excited about this topic today. That's what I think.
Super excited. Yep.
Let us know if you can hear us. Let us know if you can hear us, because we want to make sure you can hear us okay tonight.
Right. But again, welcome to the show. I am King George, a.k.a. Mr. Knowledge is Power.
Yes.
And this is my lovely queen, my beautiful queen, the one and only.
Natalie, Nicole. Listen, I'd be getting lost in the sauce right there on that part.
Supposed to. I have that effect.
I'm Natalie, Nicole. Yes.
Well, welcome everybody. So the topic for today is reparations.
And before we get started, I just want to remind that on Wednesday nights at 9 is when we do our 4 topics areas of politics, upcoming events, education, and city news. On Sunday nights, we like to dig deep into our history, cultural history.
Take a deep dive.
Yes, and we definitely want you to join the conversation. We don't know it all. We don't have all the facts, but we are going to lay a foundation tonight and discuss some things candidly.
That's right.
Yes, and I'm excited about it. Yes.
So, without further ado, we can jump in. But before we jump in, we want to thank our sponsors for sponsoring this platform, sponsoring the show, RMA. You want to give them a little bit about RMA?
All things modeling and personal development, ages 5 and up. Modeling, preparing you for the runway, preparing you for the industry, as well as personal development, business skills, social skills, all types of etiquette. So anything modeling and personal development, Role Model Academy has you covered.
I like it.
Okay.
All right. And to Tri-City Fatherhood Group for sponsoring this platform. If you're having issues with child support, you need child support coaching, you don't know your rights as far as child support, reach out to Tri-City Fatherhood Group for your child support relief. If your wages are being garnished, your license is being suspended, your passport is being denied, reach out to Tri-City Fatherhood Group for child support relief and to understand your rights and what you are entitled to.
Okay.
So, and before we go any further, let me shout out to Audrey Elaine, Audrey's Chef Kiss, for laying hands on dinner. Oh, man. She is an aspiring chef and entrepreneur. We want to shout her out, Audrey Elaine. Audrey's Chef Kiss is going to be her restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, so look out for that in the near future.
She is an excellent cook.
Oh.
An excellent cook. And we love to say lay hands because literally, it's been a few times this week.
I was telling you. I was getting it in, but
yes.
Shout out to Audrey Elaine.
Yes, very good. Okay, very nice.
Yeah, without further ado, reparations.
Yes, let's get into it.
So please chime in, please share.
Yes.
Share.
Yes, share, because live we would like to give away a free Amazon gift card to those who share, who tune in. And then also, I like us to do even so giving coupons away to Black-owned businesses here in the area.
I like it.
So I think that would be great as well. We love Amazon, you know, it's the convenience. However, in supporting African American businesses, I think we should incorporate that as well. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, please tune in, please share, and we're keeping up because you know, Facebook has the receipts, honey. They show you. You can go and press activity, and it'll show you who's doing what and who's sharing, and you know who's contributing. So that's where we're going to get our receipts from. And so when we announce live our winner, please know that's where we're getting it from. No favorites, no favoritisms, or anything like that.
Right.
You know, Facebook comes with the receipts.
That's right.
Okay, so please make sure you share. And then look forward to us announcing a winner for that Amazon gift card or supporting a local business here.
Right. And again, family, we are in transition with our platform, so there's still some wrinkles we need to iron out as far as switching over our YouTube page. But we'll keep y'all posted on everything that's, you know, all the changes that are coming.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right, you ready to dig in?
I'm ready to dig in.
So before you go in, can I say that this year makes 405 years of the anniversary of slaves coming to the United States, to Virginia. 405 years this year. And that I just want to list because we're going in about the reparations today.
Right.
That Virginia was the first state, the number one state with the most slaves. And then guess what the next one was? Georgia, where we all reside.
Right.
The beautiful state of Georgia was the next state full of slaves. So let's go, honey.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Now I'm sipping on some tea. If y'all wondering what's in my cup.
I already asked.
And it is good too. It's good to my soul. Green tea, listen. Green tea is good for your body.
Yes.
It helps cleanse your body. So
it's healthy.
It is.
Yes.
Green tea with some lemon and some natural honey from shout out to Overflow for you know, for this honey, this raw honey that they do have.
And isn't that amazing, right? I've seen them in the white suits and all that stuff. So they actually collect and, you know, take care of the bees and do the honey. It's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
So to Overflow.
Okay. Okay, honey.
Okay.
Go ahead and dig in.
So, and please share your comments. We enjoy and we love your feedback.
Yes.
So reparations or special field order number 5 or number 15. If y'all don't know what that is, that's what the order was called. But we know it as reparations, but it was called special field order number 15. So, of course, Abraham Lincoln drew up the Emancipation Proclamation, and that was to, should I say allegedly?
Yes.
Allegedly free our people from slavery. I mean, yeah, they were freed. They were freed, but they weren't freed from a moral standpoint.
Right.
They weren't freed because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
And as y'all are listening to us, please do your own research. You know what I mean? Because we put this out here, but the only way you're going to know that we're giving y'all the facts is if you go look it up for yourself.
Yes.
So,
and I want, because, you know, I think we kind of discussed this before. I grew up in Florida, and I grew up in an education system where they taught us to love and revere, you know, President Lincoln because he set us free.
Right.
Right. And then you grow up and you understand that, okay, he may have did the Emancipation Proclamation, but it was not because he thought we were equal. It was not because it was from a moral place, but it was because it was a financial situation.
Right.
Something to help further their cause or their, you know, goals in life. Had nothing to do with us as African American people.
Exactly. And go back and look up, you know, history is his story, not our story. So
that's good.
Go back and look up what President Lincoln said about freeing the slaves. He said, and I quote, well, I'm not going to quote it, but I'll paraphrase. He said that it would do them good not to free the slaves if it would save the Union, or to free the slaves if it would save the Union. So the point is, it was all about the Union.
Right.
It was all about the Union. So it wasn't about being the right thing to do. It wasn't about slavery being horrible or all of these things that happened to our people.
Mm-hmm.
It was about what was best for the Union. So it was a political move. It was a financial move.
Yes.
But again, you got to go back and do your own research.
Mm-hmm.
But we will give y'all, drop some gems.
Yeah, let me know. Did anybody else? I mean, I know we have people from Georgia watching, but we have people that watch on the outside of Georgia.
Right.
Did anybody grow up in the school system learning to revere and respect and have honor for President Lincoln because he set us free? It was a big deal for our school and just growing up in education in Florida to be like, and then to learn.
He's our hero.
Yeah, and to learn that that's not the reason. That's not why he exactly did it. Is slap in the face, really. But that's the whole purpose of education, is to indoctrinate, assimilate the American way. But okay.
Yeah.
So did you break down what exactly the reparation is? Did I hear you say what that is?
So basically, again, it was Special Field Order number 15. So basically what they were going to do was they were going to give each person land and a mule. So, and they did, I got to give them their credit, or, credit where credit is due. So after the emancipation.
Did they want to?
They didn't want to do it.
No. Because where did the land and the mule have to come from?
Oh, so it came from the Confederacy. So it came from former plantation owners.
Yes.
And of course, they weren't happy about that.
No.
But yeah, so the Union was taking the land that they seized from the Civil War, which is from these plantation owners, and they was giving this land to our people. What happened was, if anybody knows, during this period, Lincoln was assassinated. So Lincoln put the order in, but he was assassinated, and then when Andrew Johnson took over, he canceled all of that.
Wiped it
so
right
as
out.
they were parceling out the land and getting this plan together, Lincoln was assassinated. Andrew Johnson came into office, and he turned, he cut out all of that. He stopped it. He gave the land back to those people, who lost it. Those slave owners. He gave the land back to them.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's what happened with with the plan, the 40 acres and a mule. So to answer your question, that's where 40 acres and a mule came from.
Okay. So then what happened to our people as a result of having to give the land back and the mule back? Where did that put us as the people?
That put us back in slavery, per se, because we didn't have anything to sustain ourselves after slavery.
Right.
No housing, no finances, no land, no nothing. So they just set us free. They set us free, put us out in the wilderness, just like, out there in the middle of nowhere with nothing.
Right.
So.
Okay, so that sets us back to what? Sharecropping? Is that what came up next?
Exactly.
Sharecropping. And what is the concept of sharecropping? That is you working someone else's land.
Right.
You sowing, you working hard,
right.
and then the harvest, a portion of it, going back to the slave owner.
Right. So basically, we only got a few pennies. We only got a few crumbs.
Right, because we didn't own anything.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So, but 40,000, let's see. So 40,000 men did receive, if I'm not mistaken, they did receive their 40 acres and a mule. But again, once Andrew Johnson took over for Lincoln, after Lincoln was assassinated, all of that went away. And that land was stolen. That land was, taken over. And the slave owners got their land back. And then that gave room for the KKK. So the KKK came along after the Civil War because, again, after all of this, after the war was over, the Confederacy was broken up. But you still had those racists and those slave owners and their descendants and these like-minded people. You still had them around. So some of them did flee to Europe. But the majority of them stayed. So, as a result, they formed these hate groups like the KKK and all these different militias to basically take their land back over.
And like I've shared, is that in my lifetime, I have seen the KKK. I have seen the KKK in full battle rattle from top to bottom. I've experienced racism going to school, you know, a white doll painted brown with a noose around her neck. I've experienced a lot. And so why are we having this conversation about reparations? Because you've made the statements yourself that you're not waiting for reparations. You don't feel as if we're ever going to get reparations. So what's the point of this conversation?
So the point of it is just to give our people who don't know, and even for the ones who do know to join in, is to have the discussion about, you know, how did we get here? And
because they call us lazy.
Right.
They say we don't want to work, or
right.
we're where we're at on our own regard. But I'm sorry to cut you off. But you said, how did we get here?
Right. So again, after slavery was over, we had nothing. We had nothing. So in the Union, they helped out a little bit as far as guarding these areas and keeping these former slaves safe. But a lot of that went away. Again, after Lincoln was assassinated, Andrew Johnson took over, if I'm saying his name right. I think it's right. But yeah, once he took over, it was a done deal. It was business as usual. So how did we get here? We weren't given any land,
right,
or anything to help us, or anything to sustain us, or anything to make, to balance the
inequality,
right, or the economics, or none of that was given to us. So we were just out there, you know, blowing in the wind.
Yes,
basically. So that's why you had Jim Crow. You know, people wondering, well, how did we, you know, get back in the same predicament if the Civil War freed us? So think about that. And I want y'all to chime in. We got some people chiming in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Get in here.
Yeah.
But yeah. How did we get back here?
Yeah. You know? And so the whole point of reparations, even though we may not even see it in our lifetime, is to rectify the injustice of unpaid labor to millions and millions of our ancestors. Okay? It is to compensate the 40 million descendants of those enslaved that still affects our financial situations today.
Right.
Now, I know we went to some events and they talked about the poverty numbers in some of the area codes, zip codes.
Right.
Which one is it?
Zip codes.
Zip codes, right? Okay. Now, today, people, they're turning down work, and maybe they don't want to work certain jobs because they're not paying enough. And I know specifically today, there are babies, and I say babies, but they're adults who have went to college, who've earned a degree, who's between like 27 and below, and they cannot afford to maintain their lifestyle. They can't afford to pay their rent, car payment, insurance, plus buy groceries and everything else that you may need, with the economics being the way that they are. So reparations, in my opinion, play a big role in contributing to helping our culture get on a level playing field with everybody else that's here in the United States. Right.
You hit the nail on the head. A level playing field, equality. So yeah, reparations is definitely owed to us. Will we ever get it? I don't know. But y'all who are watching, what does reparations look like? You know, we talk about this all the time. So if they were to come to us with reparations, what does that look like for you?
Right.
You know what I mean? I know what it looks like for me.
Right.
Definitely every person that looks like us should have their own land. Every person that looks like us should get, I'm thinking, and you can't put a dollar amount on what our ancestors went through and what our people went through. But I would say at least $2 million per person. $2 million per person. Our own, however many acres of land they give us, whether it be 40 acres, however many acres they give us, each person. Free health care for all of our people.
Yes. For mental health, because it's traumatizing. It's passed down from generation to generation. And then when you say this, when we talk about this, we're in Georgia, the second largest state for slaves, but California has already launched an initiative to try to pay reparations to the African American people there. So if California can do it, I know good and well places like Georgia and Virginia, the places who were at the top for slaves, can do it as well.
And the U.S. government can do it.
Correct.
If they can do COVID relief,
yes,
and they can do all of these other reliefs
Mm-hmm.
they can do reparations.
Yes.
But
the problem I see is they don't want to acknowledge. They don't want to acknowledge. They don't want to acknowledge with an apology and then actions to fix it. So we highlight what the Jewish people went through with the Holocaust. We highlight what the Indian, Native Americans went through, and they have a reservation. But African American people who were brought here, taken from their land, if we understand it correctly, and placed in a foreign land with no idea where they came from, with slave owners' last names,
right,
families separated, with the horror that they put us through and our ancestors through in this country, they don't want to acknowledge that. They would very well just be okay with, hey, get over it.
Basically.
Yes, but the flag flies at half staff for other people.
Preach.
And for any and everybody, really.
Right.
In this country.
Right.
So
except for the people who helped build this country.
Yes.
I mean,
literally.
Cotton was the single most money maker, not just in the South, in the U.S. period.
Yes.
But again, I challenge y'all to go, look this stuff up for yourself.
Cotton and tobacco, which they're cash crops.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was part of Lincoln's motivation too for the Emancipation Proclamation, because if you know anything about Europe was not going to back the Union. And then the Confederacy, they stopped doing business with Europe as far as cotton. They stopped doing business with them because of the Civil War. So in order for them to get Europe to back them in the Civil War, they threatened them to stop, doing business with them as far as cotton, because it was a huge industry. And
so the financial impact is still a big deal today.
Right.
And that's part of the concern, because it says the federal government averages that the median wealth for Black households is $24,000.
Right.
Okay. And then the median wealth for white households is $188,000. And I guess that's on average, because we know everybody's not making that amount.
Right.
But that is a vast difference,
a huge difference
in numbers. A vast difference in numbers. And so when we attend the Empowerment Network and we look at the facts that they place before us as far as the population, as far as Columbus, Georgia being predominantly African American, as far as there being specific area codes who are living in poverty and who need our assistance, reparations is needed. It's an important topic. Yeah. And it's a conversation that's being had that we're not at the table to discuss. Now, how do you feel about that?
So I feel like we're at the table to discuss it, but the powers that be, it's not a priority.
Okay.
Like reparations is not, it's an afterthought. You know what I mean? But like I always tell you, I'm not waiting on it. I'm going to get to the bag whether they give it to us or not. And I hope everybody else has that same mindset, because that's like waiting on it to rain before you plant a garden. You know what I mean? If you wait on it to rain, you'll never plant it. So, yeah, reparations, like you said, we would have a level playing field and things would be more equal nowadays if we had gotten the start that we were supposed to have. You know what I mean? And we still might be a little behind, but we'll be a lot further than we are.
And so, do you consider that like a victim mentality, or woe is me, to feel like we're entitled to something as such as reparations?
Not at all. Listen, if somebody owes you money, it's your money.
Yeah.
Give me my money. No, I don't feel like a victim. You owe me. The United States owes us. They owe us. We built this country, literally.
Well, some people will paint the picture and express that, they don't owe us anything.
Right.
We weren't slaves, and so we need to get over it, and that the people that were slaves are not here anymore.
Listen, the people with that attitude want to make America great again. Those are the people who say that. They want to make America great again. So,
oh, man.
Again, you owe me money, give me my money.
Yeah.
So the U.S. owes us.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And the way that I think about that is like when you look at systems that are in place, like when my grandpa died, he was a veteran of, I believe he was the Navy or the Army. Okay, when he passed away, there were survivors' benefits. Those benefits went to his children, it went to his wife, okay, until she passed away.
Right.
So the same way that they can incorporate survivors' benefits for a veteran, the descendants of African American slaves brought here to this country,
right,
they can do that as well. Survivors' benefits, because we need free emotional, mental health. We shouldn't have to pay it all.
I agree.
We definitely shouldn't. We should be able to go into any clinic and get the mental health services that we need.
Right. What say you?
Yeah. What do you think about that? Listen, it's traumatizing.
What is your solution?
It's traumatizing what our family went through, and it's passed down through the generations. It has not been separated. Like, I mean, do you know where you came from?
Not at all.
I have no idea where I came from. I can't even begin to trace my roots back if I wanted to.
Right, and you don't even know with Ancestry.com and all these other platforms, you don't even know if that's accurate. You know what I mean? They're saying it's accurate, but to me, you have no real way of knowing if that's actually accurate, and those are your people, and that's where you came from. So, you know, that's another psychological and mental
void. It's a void as well, you know?
Right.
Because we're here, and then there's confusion. I'm black. Black is not a place.
Say it.
It's a color, but it's not a place. It doesn't represent anything.
Right. And it's an insult to me to be called black. Black is Negro. Negro, black, to me, that's an insult. So when I'm filling out my paperwork and I don't see African or African American, I put other.
Okay. So, but then you have people who don't, I'm not African. You know, I'm not African and I didn't come from over there. I was born here in America. So it's just a lot of confusion. It really is a lot of confusion for our culture of people, more so than any other culture that's living here in the United States, because they know where they came from. They know their what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Their culture, their history.
Yes, it's another word. Yeah, their lineage. They know. They know.
Right.
Most of them know.
Right. So now, your eyes are better than mine. Can you shout out who's in the building? Because
okay,
I can see y'all. And
you saying yes, you saying my eyes are better. Let's see. I think I see Ms. Ash and Mr. Ash.
Okay.
I see Miss Emily and I see Janisa.
Shout out to Janisa and Bernard.
Yes.
And Stunix and the great things they're doing in the community.
Yes.
They're not local.
Yes, they're in Virginia.
Shout out to Stunix.
Yes, they have a clothing line as well. And then they also produce music.
Right.
Yes. And then Mr. and Mrs. Ash, they are business owners here in Columbus, Georgia. Very proud of everything they're doing here in the community. And they're pillars. They're pillars of the community doing great things. And so we're happy and blessed to have associated and met with them as well.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in tonight.
We appreciate y'all being here. Support African American businesses.
Yes.
Unity organization. For us, by us.
Yes, I hope you all have some gift cards or some coupons or something that we can pick up so we can give out to our viewers when we get ready to announce winners, because that'll be a great opportunity for them to stop by and get some stuff from the beauty supply store. And then I can't wait until, you know, the fashion show stuff is over so we can put some orders in, Miss Ash. I'm excited and ready to get some orders in.
Me both.
For clothing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. Now, has reparations ever been claimed before? There's a historical document that states there was a woman who she went to court and she, sued for reparations from her slave owner.
Right.
And she was successful.
She was.
They called it a pension, but she was successful in doing that. And her name was Belinda Sutton. Look it up. In 1783, it's the earliest known case of reparations in the United States. Now, it wasn't easy for her.
Definitely not.
It wasn't easy for her, but she did make it happen. She had to keep returning to court because the plantation owner did not want to pay her, but it was possible. And so with that, she was closer to a I work on your farm or your plantation. Right. You know, you owe me more so than we are today. You know, so can we go back through our history and figure out, you know, who was a slave in our family, and if we're owed reparations or not? Can we do that?
Well, number one is we are owed.
Yes, I know.
Whether you go back or not, if you were born in this country, you're owed. They are in arrears.
Oh my God.
But yeah, listen, I would recommend everybody to try to trace your roots back if you can. Normally, if your family is intact, meaning if you know your grandfather and you know your great-grandfather, great-grandmother, grandmother, and you have, you know, it's easier to trace it if these people are still around.
Yes.
And this is something that my Aunt Val is really, really good at and into, is tracing our history and you know, looking back.
And it's important. Like, so who in your family is good at that? Who is sharing it with the children? Who is passing it down and sharing the information so that it doesn't get lost in the families? Now, I don't know who's doing it in my family. I've never seen it. I've never heard about it.
It starts with you then. It starts with you.
So, yes.
Foundation.
And this may be a goal for 2024 is to, you know, figure it out and see what's what, because, like, this is important. Definitely. It's important to know your family and what, you know, count back the years of slavery and know who was a part of that.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So, yeah, we encourage y'all to, you know, get with your family. If there's nobody in your family currently doing it, then you be that person to lay the foundation.
Right.
And start that, you know, that's research and that search.
And bridge the gap, because that's exactly what's going on today with our children. And there's a disconnect between the sacrifices that were made and the, you know, the problems and the issues that our family went through. There's a disconnect. Because I feel like if they were rooted in understanding, like, grandma and grandpa had to work this hard, or grandpa and grandma were not allowed to do this, then maybe they would think twice sometimes about how they conduct themselves or how they carry themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would change a lot if, you know, if that education was given on a you know, year round instead of during February, during so-called Black History Month. This needs to be a conversation that's had year round. Because, again, when we send our children off to school, they're getting his story.
Yes.
All day, every day.
Yes.
So,
and right now, they don't want to teach that. Like,
not at all.
Listen, I'm not bothered by it because I don't recall them teaching much of African American history in the first place when I was going to school. Like, they hit February, but all I remember is Martin Luther King. At the most. I don't remember anybody else. Like, they didn't teach about Malcolm X. They didn't teach about Marcus Garvey. They didn't teach about, you know, anybody else. That's all I remember.
Black Panthers.
None of that. So to be upset because they want to take Black history out of schools or whatever, I'm not sure where they were teaching it in the first place. I believe that responsibility is on the families, the church, and parents. That's where I believe. If you want your kids to know and to understand, then it has to be a part of parents are the first teachers. Churches are the place where we need to learn this stuff. We shouldn't depend on the school system because America, like, I understood very clear that being an American meant that you were supposed to assimilate when I was younger. I understood that. You were supposed to adapt their ways as I was younger. Now, has it changed? Yes. It's become more of a melting pot. People come over here and they do them and they are who they are.
Right.
And it's more accepted. However, that's not what they're going to teach in their school system.
Right.
So
yeah, it takes a village, and we got to get back to educating our kids first on our history.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we can give them, so they can have pride when they walk out here.
That's
because
right.
Every time they watch TV and all these people they got to look up to really don't look like them.
Right.
You know, in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
People that own Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and all of these high brands.
And I'm sorry, and when people call themselves Black Barbies and Kens, I'm offended. I'm offended because I don't recall when I was younger there being Black Barbies. Is there a Black Ken?
Listen, put it in the chat or in the comments. Did they ever make? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Listen, I don't know.
At some point, they started making black Barbies, but
did.
I don't recall as a young person there being. I remember having a white doll. I don't remember there being a black Barbie or whatever. So the thing is that, like, again, that is like low key saying that's the standard of beauty,
right?
And I'm just gonna make it black,
right?
Okay,
right.
Why can't we have our own standard of beauty? Why take something that somebody else has made and then, say, okay, that's what I am? Why? When we're so much more than that and so much better than that.
And come from royalty. So
now I want to talk about the fact that reparations have been paid here in the United States. Okay. And let's start with the Native Americans.
Okay.
They were paid for their government seized land. How people came over. Was it Christopher Columbus was the first one to come over? And
his gangsters.
Yes, and take land and, kill these people and wipe them out. And then they, in turn, we apologized and gave them some reservations of land.
Listen, and there's a pattern there. If you notice, there's a pattern. When people take and kill and maim and destroy, there's a pattern there. This is not by accident. They know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly what they're doing. Then the next was the Japanese Americans, right? For being held in internment camps. Did I say that right? Internment camps? Internment camps.
Yeah, internment.
Yes. Okay. So they were given reparations for just being held in camps.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then there were survivors of police abuse in Chicago. They were given, these are documented, recorded historical injustices that receive compensation and reparations, okay? Victims of forced sterilization. And then the black residents of Rosewood, a Florida town that was burned down by a murderous white mob, was also paid reparations, according to historical documents.
Right. Now, if you haven't seen the movie Rosewood, go check it out. It gives some accurate accounts of what happened in Rosewood. But yeah, it's a good movie though, nonetheless.
Yeah, well, I don't know about good, but it took a long time. I don't even know if I've watched it really, because I think I got to a certain point, and when she started screaming and was like, he did it, that was enough for me, because it is very traumatizing. It's traumatizing to know that our people had to endure and go through the things that they go through and went through. And we're still having to go through today.
Right. And let me put this out there. There's a lot of African-American farmers who did receive land before Lincoln was assassinated. But again, after Lincoln was assassinated, land was taken away from them. And then some that was able to purchase land, it was systematically taken from them in some shape, form, or fashion. So I don't know if y'all remember the so-called black protest. I think it was in 96 or 97, but the African-American farmers were protesting because their land was continuously being taken from them. It wasn't like they were in default. It wasn't like they owed somebody. This land was just being taken from them. And they was left with nothing. And the people who did this was just able to do it and walk away from it. Right. With no repercussions. So, yeah, if you know anything about, what part of Georgia is it? It's on the tip of my tongue. But there's a certain part of Georgia, I can't remember what town it's in, but a group of people, African Americans, came together and purchased 500 acres of land. And they're able to build whatever they want to build on it, and bring the kids out and let the kids enjoy that land, and they're able to pass this down from generation to generation. And we visited the Black Wall Street in Atlanta, but I'm saying Atlanta, but what part of? It's in it's a good little ways. Yeah. But it's beautiful. So I think it's right outside Stone Mountain. I could be wrong. Yeah, if you haven't visited the Black Wall Street, visit it. It is nice, right? You can go in and eat. There's black art, there's shopping, and it's us. And it's very excellent. It's a very excellent atmosphere. It's very beautiful. Right.
felt really good being inside. So if you have not visited that, I'll look it up and put it in the comments here later. But it's really nice.
Yeah, go check that out.
Really nice.
It gives you a sense of pride being in there. You know, everybody in there looks like us.
Yes.
There was a grocery store in there.
You know, everybody looks like us. Yes.
What else? There's people selling art. There's people selling jewelry, clothes, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, go check that out if you haven't heard of Black Wall Street in Atlanta.
And food, like they're selling like homemade honey and different things as well.
Everything.
Yeah, so it's really nice. Really nice. So what is, so, you know, I kind of wanted to talk about the critical race theory, which is like, you know, bands and universities, they don't want to hear anything about that. But how does reparations and the critical race theory, you know, unite? Is that today, where there's areas with redlining, you know what redlining is? What is redlining?
So redlining is when they were denying people, what's the word I'm looking for? They were
loans, lending.
Right. So they were denied loans. They couldn't get. If they did get a loan, what is it? The
interest was high.
The interest was so sky high that it was almost impossible, you know, to make those payments. But yeah. So in a nutshell, that's what redlining is.
So you have redlining. You have
that's still happening today.
Still happening today. You have discriminatory lending practices where they refuse to give a mortgage because of the race or your ethnicity. Yes, thank you, honey. Just based on those things, you have employment discrimination,
right?
And then you have the Jim Crow laws. Now, these things are not just like wide open out there for you to see it, but there's
it is. If you know, yeah.
If you know, like I know, like we know, yes. But what I'm trying to say is like it's not so just wide out and open.
It's not
like
popular.
It used to be.
Yeah, it's not popular anymore because they know they can be sued or they can have a lawsuit brought against them. So, like you said, yeah, it's not so much in your face anymore.
Yeah, so that's where the critical race theory comes in because it's saying it's a systematic situation that's still there. So take this for instance. When you fill out an application and maybe they don't ask you what color you are, but they ask you for your address. When they ask you for your address, what do you have to supply?
Your zip code.
Your zip code. And so automatically your zip code communicates more about you than them even needing to know the color of your skin. Because if we say the zip code, if we list the zip code of 3190 what?
3, 4.
3. Okay, there's some connotations that come with those zip codes.
Right.
Right? And that's where the critical race theory comes in because systematically in education and lending and businesses, racism still occurs. Big time.
Right.
It's just not, the word I'm looking for, I can't get it out right now, but it's just not like wide open for everybody to see. It's a system in place.
I agree. So what does reparations look like to y'all? What is the solution, or what does, if we were offered reparations for you, what does that look like? Is it land? Is it money? What about the next generation? You know what I mean? And the generation after that, you know what I mean? So.
And do you even care? Do you care about reparations? Do you think we should get reparations? Are you not concerned about it? Like, are you against reparations? Because it's crazy to me that they just eliminated affirmative action. Right?
Well, to me, it wasn't.
You don't think it was helpful?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Why not? I think it hurt more than helped.
Why not?
Because that just gave them more incentive to discriminate. Because they feel like, why should we have to hire, somebody that doesn't look like us or that we don't want to hire?
The whole purpose of it, though, is that they had to. Like, so for instance, in the Army, I worked in the legal department and we had to do a EEO report. And on that report, it had to list how many African Americans was in this position, how many Native Americans was in this position, how many Caucasians. Like, they kept a record because there was a quota. that they had to reach.
Right.
Well, same thing with colleges and different organizations. That's what the affirmative action was supposed to do, but was it successful? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
And if we have rights. We were born with rights, and of course they don't look at us as equals, because if they did, we wouldn't need civil rights. We wouldn't need affirmative action. We wouldn't need all this legislation they keep trying to pass and these different bills. Whenever somebody is victimized that looks like us, we wouldn't need all of this stuff if we were looked at as equals.
Right.
But because we're not, they're telling us without telling us that we're not equal.
Right.
Because somebody who's victimized that's Caucasian or white, they're not running and screaming and hollering talking about my civil rights are being violated. You know what I mean? Karen's not talking about her civil rights are being violated. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Oh my gosh.
It is what it is.
So why we should care. Some facts on why we should care.
Why should we care?
After the Civil War, 4 million people were liberated, but without a dollar to their names.
Right.
Okay? Enslaved people grew cotton, built the railroads, developed major universities, and fueled the growth of the American economy. Now, America is known as one of the greatest nations on this earth.
Right.
And they did not get here without us.
They got here through bloodshed. That's how they
Yes.
got here. Robbing, stealing, killing, pillaging.
Yes.
That's how they got to the wealth that they have.
Yes, and they received that. They received, I didn't say earned, they received that wealth from unpaid African Americans.
Right.
Okay? Land ownership was the primary engine of wealth in the United States, and the denial of access to Black Americans is the foundation upon which the wealth gap exists today. The foundation.
I agree. You want to repeat that?
Land ownership. And that's why it's painful sometimes today, like when families pass down land.
Right.
And then the descendants and the babies just sell it.
Right, because it's not valuable to them.
They
of course,
don't,
if you don't know the value of something, you're not going to respect it or take care of it.
Yes, they sell it and they give it away, but land ownership is where it's at. And that is the gap, the wealth gap that exists among us today. And we were not given land. So the Homestead Act in 1862 lavished hundreds of millions of acres in the West to white people, not us. So from 1862 to 1934, the federal government gave away nearly 10% of the country's land to more than 1.5 million white families. And about 46 million American adults descend from those homesteaders. So when they say, well, I didn't own slaves and I wasn't a slave owner, they benefited. Right. They benefit today.
Right.
From what their family did own.
Right.
And did pass down. Okay? So that's deflecting, and that's just really not taking ownership of their role and where we are today.
And I don't expect them to.
Well,
so, I don't expect them to.
Well, So, yes. So that's why we should care, because those are the facts.
Right.
We were here. We built this country. Land was given out freely. And if it could be given out freely to one race of people,
right.
Well, they need to catch up and they need to give it out to the rest of the people that's here. Exactly.
Exactly. So if you're given reparations, land, whether it be land, money, what are you going to do with it? Because not all of our people are financially literate.
Yeah.
So they'll give you $2 million, and then next month or next year, the $2 million is gone. So you right back where you started. So that's why we have to teach financial literacy.
Yes.
We have to share financial literacy.
Yes.
And the importance of financial literacy and how to help me out here.
how to keep your money.
How to keep your money, how to grow your money. That's what I'm
and how to keep it.
How to grow it, how to keep it.
And we started in a negative. And even our ancestors, you know, who built the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, right. Even those who tried and tried to have something good because we're capable.
That's right.
And because we have the ability to and the intellect to, what happened? Every time they would build something up, it was taken away. It was blown up. People were killed. They were, you know, intimidated.
Right.
It was taken.
Right.
We were not given the opportunity to build as like they were given the opportunity to build. Nobody came over here and tore their stuff down, took it away from them, put crosses in their yards,
right.
Intimidated them, scared them. Nobody came over here and did that to them. But they made sure to make sure as African American people, we didn't get to a certain part or a right. certain place in life.
Right.
And people will say that, you know, oh, that happened 400 years ago. That happened a long time ago and we need to get over it. But this is what research says. Many of us do not know our history, where we came from. We may be 5 to 6 generations removed from the horrors of slavery, but the trauma of enslavement has been carried by African Americans through the ages. As a result, African Americans today have suffered psychologically and emotional injuries and adopted survival strategies to cope. So when we see these babies in gangs, that's because they're trying to survive.
Exactly.
That's because we come from a place of negative, and it just keeps building and keeps building. And so now we have certain people in our culture who are surviving the best way they know how.
That's right.
Hungry, employment, and like it's hard. It is tough. It was really hard to see. And I call them babies because they was like 27, between 27 and 23 or whatnot.
Right.
Having to ask their parents for money and feeling bad about it. Feeling bad because they went to school and they're supposed to have a job and their job is not enough, not paying them enough to survive. And then I saw people that were my age who were working all day
right.
and then turning around having to work at Chick-fil-A.
Having a second job.
Having to
that
have
went
a second
to college,
job.
that has a degree.
Correct. Right? So something is not right. Something is not right economically.
Well, we know what's not right, which is this. All of this poverty, all of this being trying to play catch up is all a direct result of what happened during slavery and after slavery. So, you know, you have all of this violence and high crime and poverty, and you have all of these things because this is the hate that hate produced. So these people, just like you said, our people are trying to survive by any means necessary. So if you're starving, you're gonna do whatever you can to eat, whatever you can to feed your children, your wife, your family, your neighborhood. You're gonna do whatever you got to do, whether it be rob, steal, or kill. No, we don't condone it, but that's the reality of the situation. And
that's the reality for a lot of babies. And I say babies because these babies are in schools that are a part of gangs.
Right, right.
They are in junior high, middle school, and a part of gangs.
Right. And this is not, if you look at every city in the U.S., or the majority of the urban cities in the U.S., it's all crime-ridden, gang-infested, a high poverty. And again, in my opinion, that is all a direct result of what happened after slavery and during slavery.
Right.
Because we weren't given anything. So we always had to survive. They gave us the scraps from the pig, we made chitlins. They gave us the scraps from this, and we made it work. We always turn lemons into lemonade. We always do it.
Yes.
So this is just another thing people are trying to survive. Some people make it out, some don't. But the point is, our people are trying to survive.
And what I love, I'm going to mention about the Mr. and Mrs. Ash, is that they're right in the heart of the South Side.
Right.
There's a Columbus Elementary. Is that the school?
South Columbus.
South Columbus Elementary.
I went there.
There's Eddy Middle School. You went there too? Eddy Middle School right there. They're right in the heart of South Columbus, where statistics would say they shouldn't be.
Right.
Being the type of, they carry themselves well.
That's right.
They speak well. They
That's
don't
right.
have to have business there, but they do.
That's right.
And I love that. And it's a role model to this community that it can be done.
Right. Right.
And so it's like you look at that and you look at the fact that, some people, I don't live on the South Side, but I'm not from Florida. I'm not from Georgia. And I know that when I came here, when I asked, what is the safe place to live? Where was I told?
Not South of Macon Road.
Right. I was told Midland is the best place to live. Or, North Columbus was the best place to live. Okay. So as a woman, that's where I situated myself,
Right.
But there are people that live here that's doing great things in those areas,
right,
where news reports and statistics says that they shouldn't. And so while I may not live there, while we may not live there, your parents live over there.
Right.
We frequent. I worked over there. I'm not afraid to get in the trenches and serve wherever I need to serve in this community, and neither are you.
Right.
And I want to bring that up because sometimes we look at people and we think, well, what are you doing for your community because you're not living in that community or you're not a part of the community. They say we get what we need and we move. How does that work? How do they explain that?
Yeah, that's what they say.
You move out of the community?
Right. You start making a certain amount of money and then you move away. And to me, everybody wants or should want better. You know what I mean? And again, it's unfortunate that certain parts of town look like they look, but they don't look like that for no reason.
Right.
They look like that, and they're made to look like that on purpose. So this is not by accident that certain parts of our city, whether it be South Columbus, whether it be East Winton, whether it be, wherever. If it looks bad for a reason.
And what used to frustrate me being in the schools is that, of course I worked in one school, but my children, Ashlyn attended Carver, Audrey attended, she was at Veterans at the time. And, Carver is great. It's a great school. They keep it clean. Principal Lindsay, he's on top of it there.
Right.
But I think about the middle schools. I would go to Audrey school and, they slap up new paint, slap up new, what's their little logo things called? Yeah, they're whatever. They just spending money. And I'm walking around in a school and we can't get paint. Or they don't want to paint, or they take forever to get there to paint, just so it can look nice. Right. The floors are a mess, and so who does that fall on? Who does that fall on? That falls
on the mayor. That falls on the government, the local
school
government.
Board?
No, in my opinion, that falls on the local government because again, this issue that we're having is because of the government, whether it's local or the U.S. government. This is the result of them not caring.
Mascot, somebody tell them thank you.
Yeah, so when we were freed, we weren't given anything. Just like the situation that exists now is a direct result of not having equality, not having equal housing, not having equal opportunities to make money.
And this is a direct result. Still segregated. Majority of my classrooms were African American babies.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Let me say this. So when we spend our money, when we keep spending our money outside of the community, it just makes our community poorer and poorer and poorer. So every time we spend our dollars outside of the community,
or we let people move in,
right,
and open businesses, and we support them
and spend our money with them.
Yeah,
and then they take our money and run back to the other side of town.
Right.
But yeah. So until we start supporting our own African American businesses and supporting each other, the community is still gonna keep looking like it's looking.
And so we were at an event this week, and someone mentioned that it was time for Miss Ash. It's about time for you to run again.
Yeah, I think somebody said that.
District 7. Yes, they did.
Right.
I was like, all right. So, because I didn't understand how the process had went down, but I guess it was just sitting in for somebody until this term is up, and now it's time for you to run again. That's what I heard. That's
if
what
we're not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what the streets heard. That's what the streets said, right?
Yeah,
and I was excited about that. And then I want to say this, like, how is it that a predominantly African-American South Side, how did that lady get in the seat?
Well, people don't care, or people are not paying attention.
Who is she?
Again, people are not paying attention.
And so I was confused and frustrated about that. But that's what goes on.
Well, if we don't take...
Yeah, we like to have others
I don't think
in
it's
charge
that we like
of us,
it.
honey.
I don't think that we like it.
I don't
But
know.
we're not taking care of ourselves.
I don't know.
So if we don't change it, it's not going to change. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's how these people are able to get into office and be in a district over certain neighborhoods, and they don't come from that neighborhood.
And don't care nothing about the neighborhood.
Right. So
don't be in the neighborhood. Don't see them until they're running for something and want your vote.
Exactly. So we got to do better.
Yes.
We have a responsibility too.
And I heard the mayor say, like when he was running, and how people were bringing up the fact that, certain areas don't look the same. Well, they got to want it for themselves. We can't do this. And that's what they think of us. They think less of us. They think we're just naturally dirty and nasty, and we don't want anything for ourselves. Like, we're the problem.
Again, it's not going to change until we change it. Mm-hmm. So every time you go to a store and patronize somebody that doesn't look like you, all it's doing is repeating this cycle of poverty in our community. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to change until we change it. I know that, I keep saying that, but it's the truth. Okay,
we got some comments here, honey, I want to read. Ms. Ash says, again, we don't get out to vote. We feel that it's not going to... Uh-oh, where'd he go? Help today. I just lost it.
Just come back to it.
Okay. That is not going to change anything anyway. And that's the truth.
That's a big one.
Mr. Reverend Flake said we can't be afraid to speak truth to power. You got to get in the seat, and you got to represent the people who put you in that seat. But what happens? When we put them in the seat and we see that they're not representing us, what do? We let them stay in there.
Well,
let them stay.
Again, we have a responsibility to show up, and we have a responsibility to change our own narrative. Mm-hmm. So until we do, stuff like that's going to keep happening. Okay. Again, she says it all goes back on who we have representing us. That's right. That's the truth. That's right. And then at the same time, we must educate ourselves and our people. We, the people, have the power to hire and fire, local officials, but we fail to get out and vote. That is absolutely the truth. Right. Mm-hmm. And we have to be the change we want to see. That's right. And that's absolutely the truth. But to me, I feel like, just being here, there's a lot of groups and cliques and, status quos or what have you. Like, I know Toya Tucker ran for the school board seat first. And because the seat she ran for, they knew the lady and they liked the lady, or she had a name that they appreciated. Mm-hmm. The lady has never went anywhere. But what is really going on in the school board? Again, until we change it, mm-hmm. I'm going to keep saying it, until we change it, it's not going to change. Right. So, we can't complain about things that are happening in our community, or whether it be city council or city government, if we're not a part of the solution, if we're not at the table, mm-hmm. if we're not doing our part in the community to change our community. So, until we change it, mm-hmm. it's not going to change. Okay. So shout out to everybody who's out there doing their part, mm-hmm. and showing up and picking up trash in the community, mm-hmm. and showing up to the meetings and right. having a voice, because we do have a voice. Right. And the women's conference I went to on yesterday, she said, continue to speak up. Whether they want to hear you or not, continue to speak up, because they will be quick to silence us. And what I don't like about that, it will be some of our own people who will contribute to that silence. Well, we know who they are. Out of fear.
Out of fear.
Our uncles.
No, I don't know about
that.
Yeah,
our uncles.
I don't know about that.
Our uncles who are in place in certain seats.
I don't know about that.
Who say they represent us, but get in there and do, yeah.
And I want to be fair because, I'm cut from a cloth that, I'll lose a job, I'll walk away from a job, I'll walk away from anything because I know who my source is. I know who has kept me, so that's how I operate. However, everybody is not cut from that cloth. And, maybe they use a little bit more wisdom and, well, I'm going to hold on to this job and I'm going to put up with this and I'm going to put up with that, because I have to feed my children or I have to pay my mortgage. And I get that. But my problem with that is that when you settle and when you put up with, then the generation that comes behind you, they have to go through even more.
Right.
And if our ancestors were not bold and strong and willing to die,
right,
we would still be, like you said, bound at our ankles and our, what you call these right here?
Wrists.
Our wrists.
Right.
Had they not went against the grain and said, hey, this is not for us. We gonna run. We gonna try. We gonna do something. And as a people, we just cannot get away from that. We can't get comfortable. We can't get comfortable allowing things to happen, for the sake of, well, I got to pay my mortgage and, I got this or what have you. What's your thoughts on that?
So to me, that's one of the reasons why entrepreneurship is very important.
Yes.
So you can be your own boss.
Yes.
You can make your own moves, call your own shots. So, and we're gonna do a show on the importance of entrepreneurship also. So make sure y'all tune in for that. And shout out to all the entrepreneurs out there who are making it happen, who are your own boss. You know what I mean? We appreciate y'all.
And hiring other people,
right?
And hiring them and allowing them to work, because everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody can't.
I disagree.
I know you disagree with me on that, but like some people are front people and out and they can do it, and some people are supportive people. That's all I'm trying to say. So maybe they could do a passive income, and that's still considered an entrepreneur.
Right.
So different levels of it. That's what I mean. But everybody can't be an entrepreneur because you need people to work for you. So if you have a business and it's like super big, you can't do it by yourself. You're going to have to pull somebody in. But what you tell me, a 1099?
Right.
A contract, right? So that still makes you an entrepreneur. Okay.
It does.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what you love to do may not. It might call for you to go to college.
That's right.
And how many of y'all know that education is free, but college is gonna cost you?
Yeah, it's gonna cost.
Education is free, and the college game, that's a racket. If you know, like I know, that's a hustle right there. Because how do you go to school for 4 to 8 years, graduate, owe all this money to the government, and now you're barely living, but you got a degree? And what they'll do is, the people who are tenured or who have been in a position for 20 years, they'll go ahead and fire them, bring you in, give you some pennies, and get rid of the person who's been making it happen, who's making all this money for them.
Yes.
And
send you on your way.
Right.
Have you train them.
Have you train them, send you on your way.
For your position, yes.
Yeah. So entrepreneurship is very important.
Yes.
But yeah, we're going to do a discussion on that, so y'all stay tuned for that. But all in all, reparations, how do we get here? Are we owed reparations? What's your solution for reparations?
Yeah, what's your thoughts? How do you feel it should be handled and taken care of? Or do you not care? Are you not worried about it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had
a lot to talk about. Did we break down all the facts? We broke down some important points of why we should consider this and this be a discussion in our homes. And
Definitely.
Then basically knowing who your representatives are in politics and making sure they know, how you feel and where you stand on certain things and making sure they're representing you,
Right. So we all have a voice, but you got to use your voice to affect change and to make change, especially when it comes to our people, because the situation is serious.
Yeah.
Just think about the quote unquote north side of town or these sides of town that they consider the best parts of town.
Mm-hmm.
If all of these kids were dying at the same rate that our kids are dying,
Mm-hmm.
the National Guard would be here.
Yes.
Trust me on that. The National Guard would be here. Something would be done. But because it's our people and they really don't care about us,
right?
Let them die. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they can act like they're doing stuff about it. They can act like they're concerned.
Right.
But if they truly want to stop it, they could stop it. You can't convince me that the U.S. government cannot stop violence in our own country, but they can go drop bombs on Iraq, go drop bombs on Israel or whoever else they're going to drop, Afghanistan, Vietnam. They go drop bombs on everybody else and try to clean up somebody else's house, but they can't clean up their own house.
Right.
So you can't convince me that they can't stop it, but they don't want to stop it.
Right.
They don't want mass incarceration. They don't want to stop it. How are you going to put something to kill somebody or to make somebody's community terrible and then throw them in prison for it? After you give them what they need to destroy their own community,
right?
Then turn around and put them in prison. So, this is done purposely.
Yes, prison to pipeline. Or how does that go? Pipeline to prison.
Yeah, yeah. This is not by accident.
Right.
If you're paying attention and you know the history of this country, it's not by accident that poverty in certain neighborhoods is high. Crime in certain neighborhoods is high.
And it's segregated. It's segregated all over again. You got your north, your south, your east, and west, all in cities. And
it's going to continue to be like that. It's going to continue to be like that until we change it. In Columbus, for y'all that know this or don't know, we are the majority in Columbus.
Yes.
So we got to use that power to put people in office that we want in office and change our own community. So if we're the majority, we have all the power, but we got to use it.
You're right. And we have to be smart. It's like, these people, we have all of these meetings, and what are they accomplishing? We have all these collection of minds, wisdom and intellect. What are they accomplishing? Because there is no way that 3 African-American men should be running for the same position at the same time.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
There's no way, because it's dividing the vote, it's dividing the resources, and, in one house, of course, we're likely to vote the same way, but in one house, you could be separating the vote for these candidates when we should all be on the same team, the same focus for all our finances here, all our votes are going here. I just don't understand.
Well, that's the only way things are going to change if we unite. United we stand. What is it? Divided we fall.
Well,
so we're falling, and we're going to keep falling until we come together. And if you're watching this and you know any of these candidates, have this conversation with them. And if they don't care about the bigger picture, what does that say about them?
Correct.
It's just a thought, you know what I mean? And we love all our brothers who are running.
Yes.
But there's only one seat, and there can be only one winner.
And we want it to be them. We want it to be somebody that looks like us.
Right.
So then that means we have to be smart about it. Because history would tell us, Malcolm X and another person will tell us, all these little dots all over the place. How you say it, all separate.
Right.
Okay, we cannot accomplish anything like that unless we come together.
Exactly.
And we, like I said, we have all these churches and all these meetings and all these smart people just coming together. Why? Why do we have 3 candidates running?
Right.
Why do we have to be stressed out to figure out who we're going to vote for? And then why is it that you're wasting citizen money and time, because this person's going to need money and this person's going to need help canvassing and this person's going to need help with whatever and this person, so it's just all of these resources going all these different places when it should only be going behind one person.
Right. So it's further dividing our community. So yeah, we got to change it. That's the only way it's going to change. So if y'all know the candidates, we encourage y'all to have this conversation and discussion with them because it's at the expense of our community. Yeah. These babies are dying at a high rate.
The big picture,
they're killing each other, left and right, trying to survive.
Yeah. So and like we've said too, it's time out for photo ops and
grandstanding,
showing up for
to
be like, oh, I did this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
And we're not saying that that's what's happening, but it's time out for all of that. It's time out.
I'm saying, yeah.
Well, okay.
I showed up to some events,
it's time
and that's
out.
what it's about.
It's time out for grandstanding and politics.
Yes,
because our community is hurting.
What are you doing every day? So when you start to run for a position, what are you doing every day? What does your track record say? Where have you been in the community? And I'm not talking about events.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about parties. I'm not talking about, celebrations, because that is not helping the homeless. It's not feeding the poor.
Mm-hmm. It's
not changing the economics in this area at all. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm a stickler about, Easter eggs and Christmas and parties and toys, because what is that really doing for our children? You want to spend all this money taking up toys, and we got gangs out of control.
Right.
These babies, they're going into gangs. They don't care about these toys.
Right. And
it's not solving the problem of poverty. It's not solving the problem of, emotionally and all the things that they're going through day to day. It's not solving it. But I think it's a personal, let me look good for the community and give out these toys. Or let me have this Christmas party and let me feel like I'm doing something good. It's time out for that. It's time out for it. Because it's not solving anything.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything else that you want? Is there any more comments that you want to read that are different? Has anybody else chimed in?
Okay. All right. So there are 2 candidates that are in District 2 that is up for election in 2024 also. Okay. The real. Okay. And then there's actually more to it than that. There's actually 2 seats that are up for election. Real question is, why can't one of these candidates run for their own district rather than at large? Interesting.
Right. That's
interesting.
A good one.
Right. Ooh.
That's a big one. We just talked about that.
Miss Ash, bring it on in, honey.
Right,
bring it on in.
That. Yeah.
Yes. Where is that district at?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Woo. Okay. Help today. That is good. That is very enlightening.
Real good. Right.
Very enlightening. So yeah, it's a lot going on with the politics, and I've never ever been really good with politics.
We have that in common.
Yeah, I've not been good at it. I'm just it's
because we don't mind rocking the boat.
No.
You know what I mean? We don't go along to get along. So
No.
We can't play that game.
It's not a part of my DNA, and just it's not. It's not. So
and neither was Malcolm X.
Right.
And neither was Dr. King.
Right.
And neither was Huey Newton.
Right.
So
Rosa
these are people.
Parks,
right. These are people who.
Harriet Tubman.
Say it.
Yes, she had the shotgun ready. It's either you rolling or you gonna get it.
Right.
It's no going back. It's no rocking the boat and causing a problem for everybody else. So yes, we gotta
understand about playing the game. You know what I mean, but. When it comes to trying to make change, historical change, you got to rock the boat, period.
Mm-hmm. You got to be a Shirley Chisholm. Mm-hmm. Unbought and unbossed.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
Unbought and unbossed. And so that's a lot of what's going on. People are bought and they are boss. It's like you say, they ain't running nothing.
Right. Exactly.
They have been purchased.
Exactly.
With a cost.
They are puppets.
Yes.
Right. No disrespect to anybody, but
no, we're just talking in general.
You got to look at the puppet master and who's pulling the strings for these people who are in office.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because they look like us doesn't mean they're for us.
Right. And sometimes you get in a position and motives change, conversation changes, you need to do this if you want to stay.
Right.
And the power goes to where it needs to go. But this has been a really great conversation about reparations, the importance of it. And so it's just like, really getting involved, knowing who your elected officials are, where they stand on these positions, And why it's important, because our ancestors fought for us. They fought for us to be here today and the freedoms that we do enjoy. It may not be perfect, but they died and they sacrificed for us to be here. And we should fight as well for them, for what they went through and what they are owed.
Right.
And maybe they don't get a chance to see it, per se.
Right.
But their descendants should.
I agree.
So.
I agree. I mean, we would love to see reparations come to fruition while we're still on this planet. And I hope that we get to see it. You know, I'm not waiting on it. We're not waiting on it. But, I would love to see that. You know what I mean? But yeah, we are owed.
And I guess I say that too, just don't become nonchalant or uncaring, about it. Even though it's highly not possible, whenever there's an opportunity to speak up, whenever there's an opportunity to lend your opinion, your thoughts, please do. Please do. Don't let them get away with it. And I'll say this, and I'm going to be done. When we went to that...
You sound like a pastor.
No, don't try it. Don't try it.
I know how to pastor. I'm going to say this, I'm going to sit down.
Don't try it. But I'm going to be honest about it.
Use you.
I'm going to be honest about it. I'm going to be done when I finish this and I keep going. But when we went to the Empowerment Network, the lady said, and I had a problem with this. I needed them to have several seats. But she was like, where are they? We want to hear from them. We want to know, what their problems are. Okay. Well,
she did.
Okay.
She did.
The research has been done. It was painted for you in black and white. Why do you need to see these people? Why do you want them to show up? That part I don't understand. Because you're not going to their communities, apparently. You're sitting at your desk and you want them to come out when they're in survival mode, trying to make it for what? And that's the problem that I have, that when we need to figure out how to solve our own problems.
There you go.
Without these people jumping up, the African-American man that was in charge asked us about our why. I was not comfortable sharing it. But I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Shared whatever she thought she should share. I didn't hear a why in it at all. All I heard is, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I made sure this happened and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's all I heard. I didn't hear a why. Like the gentleman gave us a why. That he was in a position where he almost lost his life.
Right.
And because he almost lost his life, he became what he's doing now to help people go back into those neighborhoods and help each other. That he had the opportunity for a young man to say, hey, that was me. I was a part of that situation where you almost lost your life, and look at me now. Right. That's a real why for doing what he's doing. Not, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm trying to help you all out. I'm trying to give you a handout. Right. Okay. So we really need to show up to these meetings. Now, mind you, I don't feel like the meeting was at a good time. You can't have a meeting on a Wednesday or whatever at 10 o'clock and expect for the community to come out in full force. And we barely heard about it. We barely knew about it. When we found out about it. So it, it's not a great time for people to be able to come out in full force, but we have to show up. Right. We have to have the conversations. We have to put the solutions and strategies in place. I don't want to hear nothing from some people as regards anything when you haven't walked in our shoes. You can fund, you can donate, and you can stay over there. That's how I feel about it. That's very candid. It is. It is. So just to kind of piggyback off what you just said, as a family, as a community, when we're having these discussions, like you said, about what's best for our community and what direction we're trying to go in our community, if you wanna help somebody, you ask them what you can do to help, and then those people will tell you how you can help. But if you're there to serve,
we can tell you what we need you to do. But as far as being in this conversation, being at the table, being amongst this discussion about what we need to do and what's best for our community.
Over talking the African American man that was in charge.
We go into that room, we close the door, and we figure it out amongst ourselves. And then when we come out of this room as a united front, we'll let you know how you can help serve and what capacity you can help us in.
Right.
So if you want to leave it there, we can leave it there.
I told you I'm done. You didn't try to call me out like say I'm a pastor. No.
I appreciate your candidness. Trust me. I appreciate it. So we appreciate everybody who joined us. Lakita and her husband.
Yes.
Ashley
Emily.
Lee, South Lumpkin Road. Miss M, we appreciate you.
Yes.
My vision. You can tell me who else is in the building, who else chimed in. But all of our family who comes in and sits in with us and discusses everything with us, we appreciate y'all. Share. Yep, Janisa and her husband. Is it Janisa?
Yes.
Janisa.
Yes.
Janisa and Bernard, we appreciate y'all.
All from Virginia.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Right, from the Hampton Roads area. But stay tuned. We're going to be doing entrepreneurship episodes of we got a lot coming, so make sure y'all stay tuned in, share this content, continue this discussion, not just don't let it end here, keep having this conversation. We'll see y'all in the community. Continue to support African American businesses, small businesses, continue to support each other. Shout out to my brother Shakur and power to the people at the Assembly and Dr. Henry Clark.
Is it New Africa?
New African Party.
Yes.
So we appreciate y'all. Peace and love. Thanks for tuning into the show, Candid Conversation. Not popular,
but important.
We appreciate y'all. Till the next time. Peace and love.
All right. Love you all. And thank you so much for the input tonight. Great input. Please share. Share.
Yep. And stay on the look. Y'all continue to stay tuned for the gift cards.
Yeah.
That we're going to be giving out.
Yeah. Yep. All righty.
Peace.